Hello students, I welcome you to the May month indexation report. Till now the videos on the indexation report of April month and location places in news of the April and May month both are uploaded. Now we'll start with the May month. So this time we have majorly the international ones and some of the Indian ones, and we will revise the World Economic Forum. Just like we have done UNCTAD in the April month, we will revise the World Economic Forum and different reports and different indexes of the we will have just a quick look at the World Economic Forums and different indexes, right? So starting with the Energy Transition Index, in fact this is the another one in the World Economic Forum. So it basically Energy Transition Index means it takes into account not only the energy parameters but also the parameters such as the environmental sustainability also, right, and energy security. So based upon these three parameters, it calculates the energy performance of the transition performance of the 115 economies, right? So which country is at the top? Sweden is at the top for consecutive third year. So that is why it becomes relatively more important, because if that's for the first time, then okay, that's fine. But if it's consecutively coming first, then that means this becomes relatively more important. Okay, so out of around 11 countries made an improvement, and India is one of the country that has made an improvement. Okay, so these are the three parameters as we have discussed: energy security and access, environmental sustainability, and economic growth and development. India has moved to position to 74th position, right? Okay, then so that's it. 74th position, Sweden at the first, Switzerland, Finland, these countries always remain first or second. Top 5 countries, all these 5, right, all the parameters. However, one observation of this index is that environmental sustainability continues to lag, and that is the one area where we must focus in our policies. Next is Global Energy Review 2020. So it's a by the International Energy Agency. Okay, and one of the details with respect to India, that India, obviously we have this is a May month, right? So we are in a way towards our lockdowns, right? So energy demand has to drop. So around 30% energy and demand has dropped. In fact, all over the world, energy demand is reduced. Okay. One more factor, if you can use this in your mains examination, that by 2035 we will use around 9% of the global energy demand. Okay, and China will be using 26%. So that would be a significant player, around 2 times more than US, right? So that goes to show the role that China is going to play in the coming decades. Next is Synthetic Drugs in East and Southeast Asia report by UNODC, that is United Nations Office on the Drugs and the Crime. So it is in context with the COVID-19 itself. So one has estimated, or one has presumed, that because of the COVID-19, all these organized crime or the drug people, their at least network will be slowing down, but that is not the case. In fact, many of the people have found out that because of the mental health issue is will be taking a lot of ground, and many of the people will be experiencing the mental health issue. So the illicit drugs consumption the demand can increase in the near future. Okay, so and along with that, during the COVID-19, please keep in mind the social issues. So what are the impact on family? What is the impact or what it is highlighted due to mental health issues because of the Sushant case as well. Apart from the mental health issues, Sushant case as well, it seeks to highlight the toll on the mental psyche of the people, because they are in the lockdown, they are not able to move, the mobility is restricted, right? There are many uncertainties leading to the future, that what will happen in the future, what about the job prospects, those who are leaving the job, those who are at the fag end of the job, those who are in the 40s to 60s, that what will they will do if they lose their job. So a lot of problem and lot of mental health issues are gonna come, and as well as our mental health infrastructure is very poor. Along with that, we have taken some of the initiatives. We will discuss that. Manodarpan, for example, Ministry of Education, now renamed recently, has started Manodarpan. So we will see that. Next is Global Nutrition Report. So this becomes important. Why? So who has released it won't come. However, who has not released it, that is more important. Why? Because it's a multi-stakeholder initiative. right? So it is conceived following the first Nutrition for Growth initiative, and after that many of the different organizations come together and release this report. So as to say this particular report, so if the question will come, the question will say, okay, this is released by not IMF, but released by FAO or IFRI or some other institute, but it is not released by any specific one institute. So that you need to keep in mind. Right, so the idea is action on the equity to end malnutrition. Now you have read many of the articles that COVID-19 impact on the malnutrition. So COVID-19 is going to drive a lot of malnutrition because many people are facing the problem of the hunger, and that's obviously going to lead the problem of the hidden hunger, that is the malnutrition. Reports also highlight, we'll see that India has one of the highest inequalities with respect to the malnutrition. In fact, India is said to be the global hub of the malnutrition. You can see our rank on the global hunger index and many of the parameters. So what are the indicators that they have taken? The stunting among the under 5 people, anemia among the women of the reproductive age, childhood overweight, excessive breastfeeding, and these are the different indicators. Sorry. Right. So observations: 1 out of 3 people are obese, 1 out of the 9 people are hungry and undernourished, and obviously COVID-19 is going to impact that more adversely. This question can come in your mains examination. You can expect the impact of the COVID-19 on malnutrition, because the impact directly on the health system and these things are too much in mainstream. So you may or may not, you may expect it, but they may not come. But where you least expect the impact of COVID-19, for example, the grassroots institutions, the partnership between the panchayats and SHG, these issue becomes more important. Next is ICUBE report. So ICUBE report is released by Accantor, a world leading data insights and consulting firm. So it is with respect to the digital adoption and users trend in India. Okay, so this is with respect to the how the digital adoption is taking place in India, or transformation is taking place in India. One more report we will see towards the fag end of this session with respect to the digital in India. Okay, so there we will see more authentic figures because that's a report by an Indian firm. So we will see that. However, you will see around 557.4 crore internet users with 24% growth. So India is a hotbed for the all the IT companies, isn't it? Because we are very sharp increase in these figures are registered. Next is Global Forest Resource Assessment 2020. So this particular assessment is done by the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. There are a few trends that you need to remember, because if the question comes, the question can come on the trends as well. For example, Africa has the largest annual rate of net forest loss, then Asia net forest gain. So these are the few facts you need to remember. Why is it so? Because as we go along in UPSC, the reports, indexes, assessments, the more question you can expect on the trends rather than who has released this particular report, who has formed this particular index, right? Rather, we can expect more questions on the on these things, on the trends that are coming through. So there is one thing I want to highlight. So this one, more than 54% of the world's forests are only in the 5 countries: Russia, Brazil, Canada, US, and China. One more important thing is that this trend, this is a geography thing, but still. So highest share of the forest is the tropical, then boreal, that is taiga forest, then temperate, then subtropical. Okay, that is also there in the diagram, you can see. So tropical highest, then boreal, then temperate, and then subtropical. So this is the tropical, this is the boreal, this is the temperates, and this is finally the subtropical, these ones. Okay, with respect to India, with respect to the forest cover, I think more authentic figure are taken from the state of forest report. Those are more relevant rather than any international assessment. So you have to focus on that front. Next is global gold demand trends report. So this report is released by the World Gold Council. Okay, so you must have witnessed that though demand is said to be plunged, but the rates have increased, crossing more than 52,000, 58,000 now. So the gold rates have really increased. Though demand has plunged in March, but I believe because people are more thinking to invest in gold, and that is why rates are increasing now. Lost at home report. So the report is by the UNICEF, United Nations Child's Fund. So it looks at the risks and challenges of the internally displaced children face. So what about India? So they have said that around in India, around 12 million people. Oh, sorry, the 12 million people to new displacement in children. Around 3.8 million are due to the conflict and the violence, and 8.2 million are because of the climate change or weather related issues. Okay, and that's a big figure. So as we talk about the environmental refugees, the problem due to environment and this internal displacement, and there are multitudinal the problem faced by these people who are internally displaced. We have also seen in the April month a grid report, isn't it, which showcase the similar outcomes. So this is something on which the cooperation, interstate and intra-state cooperation is required. Next is very important one, open budget initiative and open budget survey. So this is conducted by the International Budget Partnership. So what basically initiative is? So what they see, open budget. So how much budget of every country is more transparent, how much scrutiny is done by the legislature, how much scrutiny or participation of the people have in the budget formation. That's it. So it rates the level of the transparency of the budget across from the 0 to 100. What about India? So India is placed at 53rd position out of the 117 countries. What about the top countries? So top countries are New Zealand, South Africa, Sweden, Norway, where around 98 they score out of 100. Okay, so what are the suggestions? So we should establish the pre-budget statement, mid-year review. You can write these recommendations if the question on budgeting comes, because budgeting is a topic in our GS3 mains, isn't it? So you can write about that, publish a pre-budget statement, pilot mechanism for member of public or the government official to exchange views on the budget matter, ensure that the legislature hold a debate on the budget policies prior to the tabling. Budget should not come as a surprise that comes in India, isn't it? Rather, the legislative should have say in the budgetary priorities setting up. So there should be more legislative scrutiny of the budget rather than what is currently the scene. Okay, right. Okay, then next is not very important. So this is government response and stringency index. So this is Oxford University has released this index with respect to the how stringent one's country lockdown was. That is, I have not taken a lot of input on this because that is not really important. So as we have the exam in October, November, this index does not have any value, but for the sake of covering, I have covered it. Next is with respect to India. First is R&D Statistics and Indicators Report 2019 and 20. So this report is released by India only, the government only, that is National Science Technology Management Information Department of Science and Tech, DST. So it captures the R&D landscape of the country, how much expenditure is done on the R&D, what is the R&D status in India. So they have said that at an absolute scale, we have tripled our R&D expenditure from 2008 to 2018. Now that is fine, we have tripled our expenditure. However, if you see, that is the worrying concern, that our expenditure is constant with respect to GDP. This is just called the statistical play by the agencies, isn't it? So they are just saying that we have tripled our expenditure in R&D, but however you can say as percentage to the GDP, so that means our GDP has also increased. As percent of GDP it is almost constant. And this is the worrying trend highlighted by the economic survey also, as well, that our GDP percentage GDP expenditure on the R&D is really less, and that we have to increase. Okay, for example here, while the same among the BRICS countries, Brazil 1.3, Russia 1.1, China 2.2, South Africa is less 0.8, but it should be more than, if we want to really make advantage of our industrial revolution 4.0 and demographic dividend and all these things, then we really need to increase our expenditure on the R&D. Next is accreditation survey. So this survey is conducted by the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. So it's an autonomous body under the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now the name obviously is changed, and obviously this body will also be restructured under the National in education policy recently released. It conducts assessment and accreditation of the higher education institutes such as college, university, and the quality status of the institute. However, I don't think this becomes important because this institution is gonna get rendered a relic of the past. Next is impact of energy efficiency. Impact of energy efficiency measures for the year 2018-19. So what are the efforts being taken in different sectors? So assessment of that, okay, and what impact they had. So this is released by BEE, that is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So the objective assess the impact of all the energy efficiency schemes programs in India in terms of the total energy saved and reduction of the amount of CO2 emission. So whatever the steps have been taken, how much energy has been saved. So they have taken, okay, in agriculture sector we have saved this, in industry we have saved this, in the municipal waste we have saved this, commercial building, and not very important. Okay, just need to remember that is released by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Next is Digital in India report. That was the report I was discussing, right? So it is released by the Internet and Mobile Association of India. Okay, it's a non-profit industry body. So they calculate the active internet users. So who are the active internet users? Those who use internet at least 1 month, at least once a month. Sorry. So details. For the first time, India has more rural user than the urban users. India has the second largest internet users after the China. So we have seen that. So internet penetration is around 40%. Okay, and the good thing is that we are trying to bridge the gender digital divide, right? So the increase in the female internet user, there has been witnessed the increase in the female users. Okay, but still a lot of gender digital divide exists. So around 57.4 crore of Indian people are using the internet, right? We have seen 24% growth, or the growth is there. Around we'll have around 64 crore people using internet by 2020. So that's a big thing. So we are done with our session. Let us revisit our previous, just like we have done UNCTAD in our last session. So World Economic Forum, it's a non-profit organization headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, established in 1971. We have already discussed it. So just for revision purpose, we are doing it. So it's an international organization for the public-private cooperation. It is said to be the global hub of the modern-day capitalism. So all the stakeholders, all the spokesperson come to World Economic Forum and they share their thought. For example, recently the World Economic Forum last year, they had the session on the globalization 4.0. That how the Industrial Revolution 4.0 is going to impact the globalization. And the discussions are really much relevant with respect to the your optional or your GS papers, if you can code these things. So what are the different reports? Starting with global risk report, then travel and tourism report. I've discussed all the 4 parameters that you can use while writing about the tourism also. Then environmental performance index, then future of the job index. So environmental performance index, important one, that it releases along with the Yale and Columbia University. Then global gender gap index. We have seen the 4 parameters as well: political empowerment, health and survival, education attainment, economic participation, global social mobility index, global competitiveness index. So these are the different reports that we have discussed past 12 months, right? Okay then, so let us revisit what we have done today and let us finish it out. Starting with the energy transition index by World Economic Forum, then global energy review specific to India we have read, in International Energy Agency, then synthetic drug in East and Southeast Asia by UNODC, global nutrition report by multi-stakeholder agencies, then ICUBE report about digital adaptation by an institute called Cantor, then global forest resource assessment by FAO, then gold demand trends report by World Gold Council, then lost at home report by UNICEF, then open budgeting initiative, very important one, where India scored 53rd rank. You can use it in your mains exam. Okay. Then government response and stringency index, not very important because it is with respect to the lockdown, how much stringent the lockdown was. Then R&D statistics and indicator report, accreditation survey, impact of energy efficiency measures for 2018-19, and finally digital in India report by the Internet Mobile Association of India, where you can use the people who are using the internet, the figures. Okay. So I'll see you in the next class, everyone. So we will start with the governance of April month, then governance of May month, and this is how we will proceed. See you in the next class. Bye bye for now.